three voices are good. We have audio.
Hi.
I sound fine. Can you hear that? Yeah, we did it. Yay. All right. Excellent. This is exciting. Now we have a stream and we can talk to people and everyone, and they all did the emojis for us. Thank you.
We're like fish in a stream.
Like fish in a stream. And let the puns begin. Well done, Aaron. Aaron, do you want to introduce yourself? We should do introductions. Aaron, you go first.
Okay. Hi. My name is Aaron.
That was a really good, you nailed it. I could tell that you've done this before. That was some expert introing. I'm going to follow up.
Hi. All right. Hi, my name is Aaron. My name is Aaron Patterson. I'm known on the internet. My internet name is Tenderlove. Although apparently on Switch, it's Tenderlove without an E because somebody else took my name. I don't like that. Anyway, what else? I am on the Ruby core team and the Rails core team, and I work at Shopify doing Ruby and Rails core stuff. That is what I do. Oh, thank you. So someone says they like my chef's hat. I can't. Colto KPS?
Colto KPS likes your chef's hat.
Thank you.
And your video is out of sync, but that is technically impossible to fix. We'll just pretend that's the case. Yes, this is how streaming works. It's actually impossible to sync video up to sound. We're having some technical difficulties today. We're just going to call it good for now. Aaron, you commit to both Ruby and Rails and some other things on this page here, and we're going to come back around and talk about that for a second. But you also make a lot of cheese, and I think we should spend most of our time talking about the cheese. Yeah,
I do make cheese. So I'm currently making camembert cheese. And I just like, so it's kind of impacting my life right now. Well, it's impacting the family life right now because like it's downstairs. Our house has central heating. So we have one heater that blows air through the house. And I've got these curing fridges down in the basement, and they're fairly close to like the air intake essentially. And I have to flip these cheeses twice a day. And like right now they are particularly smelly. So whenever I open the fridge downstairs, the whole house becomes cheese smell.
That's a nice feature.
I mean, I enjoy it, but I understand how other people in the house may not enjoy it.
I could see that. Well, let's.
Like what CM Gordon has to say here. Like, we make goat cheese. It smells good though.
Oh.
Because like I'm picturing just like the smell traveling throughout the house. I'm wondering, does it ever get caught in the filter and there's like a little bit of a delayed release?
It's just like lingering cheese smell everywhere.
Well, when I went down, I can tell you, I flipped the cheese over. Time is at 11. I flipped it over maybe 90 minutes ago, and I went downstairs just now to get this hat. And let me tell you, the basement, it still is pungent.
It's cheesy.
Yes, there is a pungent aroma.
Rachel, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Jill Codes. I stream in the science and technology category. I focus my work around maintaining my open source repo, Hunter's Keepers, which is used for managing games of Monster of the Week. And I also play programming games. It's a lot of fun. A couple of you here I recognize, and I'm so grateful to see y'all here. Thank you. Jonan, who are you?
I'm Jonan. I took introduction classes from Aaron. I am the Jonan Show on the internet and on Twitch here, and I have been a member of the Ruby community for, I don't know, maybe 10 years. When I first came in, I met a silly man who liked Magic the Gathering and puns, and eventually transitioned to making cheese from making salami. I distinctly remember a talk about a salami fridge that was well instrumented with some Raspberry Pis. I've known Aaron for a while. I've been around in the Ruby community. I don't maintain any major open source projects. Mostly I build silly robots and I talk on the internet. But I know people who build things, and I am fascinated by the work that they do, and I know that they don't very often get to share the real life experience of being an open source maintainer, which if I understand, I'm just going to summarize real fast. People yell at you on the internet for not doing free work fast enough, or particularly the free work they would like you to have done yesterday. And then they rage quit your project. Well, fine, I'm going to uninstall it. I think that's like a effective summary. Is that pretty close, Aaron?
I mean, yeah, I guess so. Like, there's some of that, but I don't know. I'd say that's like a vocal minority. How's that?
That's good. Vocal minority, I think, is a good way to describe that. I get the impression that by and large, this open source thing is working out. I think your career might be well on track here. Are you worried that someday you might have a hard time finding a job in software?
No, I think I'll be able to find a job in software, hopefully.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I think it'll be okay. So tell
Matthew
us.
says sometimes they gently guilt you about not merging their PR. Yes, that resonates. That resonates a lot more than the rage quit thing. Because what was it? Somebody. Oh, I don't remember his name. One person from the Go team. I saw him tweet recently, like, "Oh, I just merged this. Like, I just ran into this bug. I fixed this bug. It was 2 years old. That's open source." Which I think is more like, that's more, I don't know. I think that's like more what it's like. It's like, oh, I should do this thing. And then it doesn't happen for years. You're like, oh, okay, I did it finally.
Am I allowed to ask like serious questions?
Yeah, that's the goal. The goal is, well, I mean, with Aaron, you're allowed to try, I should say. That's Aaron's serious.
But on this one, like, it is kind of like a serious question, because there are a lot of like repos that have these very long issue lists, and like it's not only specific repos, it's a lot of them, like pretty much any large open source project, and they have long lists of PRs. Like, how do you manage that workload, and how do you like prioritize which issues like you want people? I have like a ton of questions around this. Let's start with like, how do you prioritize like which issues to work on and which PRs to merge?
Oh my God. I think this is part of the problem of why we have ones that stay open for so long. It's like there's no like, at least on the teams I'm part of, there's no like, we don't all coordinate. We're like, oh yeah, we got to prioritize like this. It's really up to individual, I guess, individual contributors to the particular projects to decide which ones that they prioritize. So I think what happens is a lot of it ends up being, I don't know, essentially just like pet projects, mostly stuff that the particular maintainer is interested in. But that's also why, like, Matthew brings up, I don't know, the nag driven development, which I think is like part of it too. So like, I don't know. That's basically the way that I prioritize stuff, is whether or not if I'm interested in it. So if it's something that I really like working on, or a very, very good way for me to work on a pull request is, I'll go to a conference and then there'll be somebody there and they're like, hey, I sent you this pull request. Why haven't you merged it yet? And like, when it's like face to face, you're like, oh yeah, I should have merged that. and then I'll merge it. So that's basically the priority. Or actually also coworkers too. So if it's if it's something I'm doing in my free time, it has to be something I want to do or I'm interested in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, that is my priorities. I hope that answers the question.
It does.
You have many projects that you work on.
Yeah.
across all of these, you are just using issues to manage all of that complexity. You don't have like your own internal Asana, Jira, Trello hybrid board that you have been using to track this work?
No, but I do have one up here.
I keep it all upstairs.
Yeah, keep it up here. Like, we use GitHub issues and stuff for sure, but like, I mean, sometimes with the Rails team, we'll use Basecamp to plan some stuff. With the Ruby team, we'll use Redmine, but we also use issues and pull requests too. Shame-driven development is me to myself. Yes.
I actually kind of have a funny story about storing things in Jira. So like AO3 as a project stores all of their issues and everything that they'd like people to work on inside Jira, but they don't give anybody access to the Jira board. So you just kind of have to like guess what it is that they want or email a contributor and hope they add you to the Jira board. I kind of had a question though related to organization. I assume that you have like major pushes and things that need to happen, like Ruby, there's a Ruby 3 upgrade coming for like Rails and everything. Like, how did those get coordinated and organized and chopped up into little bits for people to handle? Epic Archisteer says, did I hear AO3? No, those words never left my mouth. Rails project, by the way.
Push towards the end. Let's see. So it's kind of different. I don't know. I have an answer for that, but it's like not good. Basically, like, so I'll talk about the the Ruby team. So we have like, essentially what happens is Mats will be like, hey, we're gonna make Ruby 3 times faster or whatever. And he doesn't do any of the work. So basically like, it is what it is, right? Like,
there's management.
So like, yeah, basically it's up to the rest of the team to figure out how to make that happen in particular. But since the team is like, I mean, the team is just different people from all over the world. I think it's a lot harder to organize into particular projects. So like when you're working together at a company, it's like, okay, we got this project we want to focus on. We put together this team to do that. We don't have any like overall management team in order to handle a project like that. So what ends up happening is a lot of the projects are, it's maybe up to 1 or 2 people. Like, for example, the Ractor feature that was put into Ruby, I think that's basically all developed by Koichi. GC compaction was all just me. But I don't know. I think I guess that's basically the way it goes. And we just have a push towards like each person just pushes their project forward until they can get it done. I think it's going to change a little bit because it'll kind of change a little bit because at Shopify, we're investing a lot into doing development on Ruby. So we actually have a team of people that are working on a particular feature. Like we want, right now, one of the projects we're working on is a JIT. We're also working on doing some improvements to the memory allocation and garbage collection. But we have particular teams working on that, though those teams are not part of the Ruby core team.
What's the new JIT? Is it a new JIT?
Yeah. Yes.
Interesting.
We're working on a JIT. We call it micro JIT. That's what we're working on.
But this is not part of the Ruby core team itself.
Nope. We're developing it independently. So we have, I'm on the team. I'm helping with it. So we're all working on it together and we're focusing on that. And then we're going to With the goal is to essentially push it upstream one of these days. I think that's the goal, but we're developing it as kind of a research project.
Hitokiri wants to know how close we are to Strata.
What is that?
What is Strata, Hitokiri? Hitokiri's not going to tell us. It's a secret.
Okay.
Yeah. Strata's
Hitokiri likes to make anime jokes and stuff like that. I think this is that.
Okay.
At first, I mistook it for Stadia, and then I realized that it was a different word when you said it out loud, which means that what I thought was the joke in my head wasn't the joke in my head, but I promise you this is a different joke.
I'm sure it's a good one. HTML over the wire. Hotwire.
Oh, Hotwire. Yeah. Yeah. I have no idea.
Yeah. It's good, though. We did it. We nailed it. It's the third portion.
Oh, it's a real
to
question.
Hotwire dev.
I'm
It
sorry,
is.
Hitokiri.
Okay. Yeah, so Strata is the third portion of Hotwire. The website. Wasn't Hotwire, it was a news site. Oh, search engine? What was Hotwire? This used to be a thing.
Hotwire is the new thing that's going to replace okay, so you know how Rails was like, okay, we're going to integrate Webpacker and that's going to give us like cool front end stuff that we can use? Hotwire is the new version of that, and what it is it passes around like little bits of HTML versus like passing around JSON and stuff. And it uses WebSockets instead of HTTP.
And it also
Aaron is nodding. I feel very proud right now.
Oh, it's a travel website. It's also a travel website. So it's these two things. Yes, that's what it is. Hotwire
I was thinking hotwire.com. No,
Hotwire is a way for us to kind of circumvent the need for front-end frameworks to some degree, allowing us to just use HTML and CSS as we would expect, but still have very fast, responsive websites without a single-page application structure.
And book flights at low prices.
And you can book flights at low prices. I want to go to hotwire.dev and show people that thing.
Can we go back to the coordination piece? First of all, Matthew D has a great comment on this, which is there's less coordination than a lot of people expect. And the truth is that the content of a release is 90% just whatever gets merged before someone decides a release is overdue.
Yep.
I have feelings about this as like somebody who uses and somebody who contributes, but I'm curious about what the experience is for somebody who maintains, right? Like you don't have a PM. You don't have somebody telling you this is the next task you will work on. You must do this. You must do that. It must meet these guidelines. As a developer, how does that feel?
Liberating?
Yeah. I mean,
it feels good. I mean, okay, so like a lot of the changes we make to Rails, or a lot of the changes I like to make to Rails, are basically derived from our application. I do a lot of like performance-based stuff. So most of the things I focus on are like, how can I make it faster? So we'll find like bottlenecks or whatever in our application, and I'll push those into Rails. What's nice about Rails is we don't have a particular release schedule. Like I think we try to release around RailsConf, but it doesn't always happen. So like whatever we can get in, whatever I can get merged in before we cut that release is good. Same thing with Ruby, although it kind of like the downside with Ruby is we have a pretty strict release schedule, which is Christmas every year. So if you don't get it in before Christmas, it doesn't go in until the next year. Where Rails, we could and have had multiple fairly major releases per year.
So when you're deciding what to work on, it's just up to you to pick it out of the crowd. You get to kind of follow your curiosity, but at the same time, then you don't have anyone in a role that's organizing the work across team. Have you worked on an open source project where someone existed in kind of a PM role? Because there are plenty of people who work with documentation and kind of like a release coordinator. You have someone in charge of the release every time you do a release with Rails, right?
Yeah, but they don't say, so we have release managers, but they don't particularly say what is, what's going to be in that. Like if we're doing a major release, they don't define what is in that major release. Like we define that as a team.
Okay.
The release managers we have, they're more in charge of like what goes into like bug fix releases. So it'll be like, oh, hey, we got a bug fix, we got to backport this. So they'll make sure that the backports go through and that we actually ship that version. That like, I think that's basically just Rachael on the Rails team.
As with so many other things.
All of that.
Yeah. As with all of it. Yeah.
Because like doing the release is not fun, because as soon as you release it, somebody complains. Like it just that's life.
You broke my Windows 3.1 VM that I'm running on Solaris. Yeah, that's tough. So what do you? We have a question from. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rachael.
Thank you. I need to issue a correction. So Hotwire is a Basecamp project. It is not a Rails project.
Yes.
So that correction needs to go out.
Which should not.
Also, Exegete has something to add on to that, which is I wrote a Twitch overlay app in 24 lines of JS. I saw the original version of this app and it had significantly more lines of JS in it. It's actually pretty cool. It's like a question app that like shows questions on the screen.
Maybe you could help me level up my game here with the screen sharing from Zoom plan of streaming is not working out great today. We had a bit of a last minute shift into who was responsible for producing this stream. And when these things fall to me, they go more poorly than some might expect. But so my question, I wanted to point out too that like though Hotwire is a Basecamp project, that should not stop you from emailing or tweeting at Aaron about Hotwire to get your bugs fixed. Please, I could provide you with Aaron's home phone number if you'd like to call him to let him know.
Look, I'm just going to give you deals on flights. Flights that you can't fly right now.
Apakar Kassir says, wow, everyone seems to know each other here. I feel like the whole Ruby community is here. All 30 people. That's a good joke that we have a huge community of people who actually know each other really well. I think that I misread the all 30 people. They were saying all 30 people here all know each other, which is actually true. I think the Ruby community, as compared to a lot of communities, is inordinately tight. Like there are a lot of people who have described the Ruby community as the most welcoming community that they've joined. It certainly has been my experience. I think it's not a fair comparison in my case because I joined early on in my career. It was one of my first languages. But I want to actually hear from you. I think that you're a huge part of why that's true. Like I have a hard time even describing the ethos that is Tenderlove, right? But like there is something about you and the way you operate in the community and the way other people who fill a similar role for us operate that makes it by far one of the most welcoming communities I've ever been in. I wonder if you could just speak to that for a moment.
Now I feel like I have to be mean to somebody.
Yeah, like we have to dog on another community. Not even that. I think that it's just, is it the hat? Is that why people like it?
I don't know. I think probably the Ruby community is like, it's small enough that we still have, it's not as corporate as say, like maybe a Java community or something. We have a good community of hackers. And fortunately, our community of hackers likes to teach each other new stuff. So at least I do anyway. It's a lot of fun. Like for me in particular, I like to show people, I like to work on stuff and tell people about the things that I'm working on so that they can do it too. Also because like one day I'm not going to be part of the Ruby community.
That's not possible.
I mean, one day I'm going to die, right? Like it's going to happen and somebody else will have to do it. So
we're all doomed.
I wonder.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder if there's like, okay, I was going to start with one thing, but now I've got like 3 different things that I think can like kind of push Ruby, right? Like there's the keep Ruby weird aspect of it. Then there's the fact that Ruby as a language was designed to like help promote developer happiness. And then there's also like Mats is nice, so we are nice. So that's like 3 like pillars of the language or pillars of the language community that are kind of driving it towards that like cozy, happy, beautiful feeling that Ruby always gives me.
And I think the sunglasses help. I think between the sunglasses and the hats, it is a much less corporate community. It's much warmer. I think like from a open source perspective, that might work to our detriment sometimes. That as a community, like I know that other languages have major corporate involvement in a lot of their things. We've got Shopify and GitHub really like actively contributing to our projects and dumping money on us. But when you think about like the teams that exist that work on Python development inside of Google, right? Like maybe there's an advantage to being more corporate.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, there's more money, right?
Yeah, is that the goal? I don't think so. I don't think it is for me or for Rubyists, kind of. I feel like it is just kind of this hacker collective.
Well, what am I thinking about here? Like, I don't know that it's bad. I can't say in particular that it's bad necessarily to get more corporate sponsors or more money behind it. I mean, I think because like if you look at the Linux kernel, like Linux kernel development, there's tons of I think that might be considered corporate, maybe, because there's tons of companies behind that thing.
Yeah.
And if you try to contribute to the Linux kernel, like we've all heard stories about that.
I've heard a story.
So I don't know. I don't think that happened. I mean, that type of stuff definitely happens in the Ruby community, just not as, I don't think it's as frequently.
Yeah.
So I think we try to, I mean, I know I try to like target folks who are new to programming or new to the community and essentially try to make a welcoming environment. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what makes a community what it is.
Yeah. I think there's we're having worked in community for a long time, right? This is effectively my job in DevRel, is to figure out how communities work and grow. I kind of agree with you. There is something mysterious. There's like this X factor that is real hard to pin down. But I think it has something to do with exactly people like you, Aaron, that you go to a conference. I've watched you try to walk across a conference hall with a pocket
You look
full of
so
cat
comfortable
stickers.
right now, Aaron.
Yeah, this is a very serious, like when you go to a conference and you go walking across a conference hall, you will get stopped over a 50-foot distance 50 times for someone to like have a conversation, and you will stop every time. Every time.
I think it's just important to set a good example for other people in the community. Like that's basically it. I don't know. I mean, I like being around. So personally, I like being around nice people.
Yeah.
It's more fun. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Basically, that's something I want to encourage.
Yeah. I'm sold. So
All right. Yeah.
in that vein, then, if we want to help new people get into working on open source, should you think they should jump into the kernel, or they should start maybe on a different project?
I think it depends on what you do. I think like the best place to start is where stuff that you're already working with. So if you're doing web development, then start contributing to Rails, or I don't know, maybe any of the like gems that you're using. Just something that you work with day to day because you'll have more familiarity with it.